Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sin of Saints, and welcome to my channel. If you enjoy the content, please leave a like, share, and subscribe for more. So, guys, in the last video that I had before this, chronologically, I ran into Guts, and now I'm teamed up with Guts in what amounts to our very next match, and I have to thank Guts for inviting me to play with him and some of his knights. Of course, they're very good players, and it's always good to have good players on your team. As you can see, they all went as cavalry. I don't think they're all the same cavalry, but they could be. And of course I went as spears because that's just kind of what I was grinding out at the moment. I'm not really sure if I want to grind out more into swords or more into cavalry. They each have their own uses. It's difficult for me to decide. But I do set up here. I believe that is one of the late nights. I believe he goes by Zion, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, his name, yeah, obviously that's Zion, because you got Zar and then you got Guts. So that's Zion. He's one of the knights of Guts, one of the late knights. Here I tell the archers that, you know, I'm just going to form a line for them to kind of protect them, because there's quite a bit of cavalry out over there. And I was just going to let the swords fight for a little bit. Because, I mean, I don't mind, you know, sitting back here and reinforcing the archers. I didn't really remember what that buff did, so I just kind of gave it to them at that point. I think that might have been the first time I have ever used it in any game. With this particular character, but I thought maybe it would give him some kind of advantage. I don't think it did. It's more of a melee buff. Actually, it's entirely a melee buff, and it heals. So I suppose if he was hurting, it wouldn't be too bad to give it to him. But I see how things are shaping up, so I go to move his to protect his flank a little bit and close up on the other side. That particular player right there is actually controlled by the AI, so if a player disconnects here, it actually gets taken over by AI. And you can see Guts and I both went after the same javelin unit down there. It evaporated under our assault very, very quickly. Now, just as a reminder, you can see the little computer symbols on either side by the names. Sometimes I might close that, but right now it's open, and you can see which units are controlled by players and which ones are controlled by the AI by looking to the sides of the name on either side. For example, on the right-hand side, under the red, if you look beside the names, you can see the little computer symbol. Each one of those computer symbols is a bot. Currently, we've had 3 players disconnect, and they are being controlled by AI right now. Now, I want to talk about the chevron system. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. I want to talk about the chevron system. As you battle, and you see this little yellow line below the blue health bar, that is experience. And as your units fight and support each other and heal and all this other stuff, they gain experience, and said experience adds a chevron. Each chevron adds a buff to them. I'm not exactly sure what the buff gap is. Here I'm going to stop since we just captured this point. Before we move on, I decided I would stop heal up my units, and then prepare to push on to the next point so that I could hold it down, and then prepare the assault for the next zone. On my way over here, I realized that Reinhardt is following everyone else, all the AI and no, I'm pretty sure that's just AI. While I'm advancing up entirely by myself, so he's now at the mercy of the AI as far as protection goes, and I am literally by myself. For now. Get ready for wave defense. I hold on to this point for us for forever, it seems like. I don't believe that the AI saw me, and if they had, or if that was a player, hopefully the reaction speed would have been to charge me. That would have caused a lot of damage. But you can see I'm being swarmed by calves, so I just form up my phalanxes, sending one to kind of deal with everything on the right, while my other two kind of just push straight ahead. And you can just see the insane amount of arrows that are coming in. Even though I'm 2 levels ahead of them, those arrows hurt. And even with my healing buffs that I get from my it's not bribe, we'll say conscription. I don't particularly remember what it's called right offhand, but it gives me a melee buff, and it also heals the troops, which is very nice that it heals. And it might not necessarily heal for a ton, but every little bit helps. So I saw that they had javelins. That's a lot of AP damage. I dealt with the cav pretty much, and the archers. So I decided that it would be best if I broke rank, left Delta, and went back to heal, get my units topped off, and prepared for another fight. 3 is the healthiest unit and is all the way at the front, and I realized I'm being chased, and if I want those guys to heal, which I do, I was going to have to leave a unit behind, and we lost that point. So now my only option for healing is either to take Delta back or to run all the way back behind A to heal. And this is what I was talking about in some other videos, where I was talking about barbarians and Carthaginians possibly being better than Romans and Greeks for assaulting a position, is because we've lost this now, but I still need to heal my units and get them back into the fight. Hashtable has a heal, which is useful. It can help me top off a little bit, but either I have to go all the way back or just push forward. If I do choose to go all the way back, being Carthaginian, I've got a pretty decent chance to be able to actually do that. If it was Roman or Greek, that would be a long trip back to heal and a long trip forward. Which also goes into why I think that Hashtable might be the best support commander now, because you can support those heavy infantry by helping keep them in the fight longer with melee buffs and with heals. Of course, you do have to save some for yourself so that you can heal your own self and keep yourself in the fight. Here I move up to help Zion deal with some cavalry. I think he also might have some infantry moving in on his position as well. I was fighting Germanicus here, but he thankfully died. And it looks like you can recall your units while you're in combat, because that looks like what the AI just did, which is really cheesy, and I don't feel like I like that very much, if that is what just happened, and I'm 90% positive that's what just happened. So I'm sending my healthiest unit, which is number 3 right now, to go deal with the fight, while 2 and 1 use their numbers to capture the point so that I can unlock a closer healing point for us. I really wanted to get onto those archers because they've been a thorn in my side and in the side of my allies fighting over here. So I split 2 off from capturing to go around and chase them down, since they only had 1 unit of infantry that was protecting them. Ooh. And you can see that charge. It's not as good as, you know, a Germanicus or a Scipio or, you know, Alexander Cavalry, or probably not even as good as Miltiades, honestly. But that was such a good charge. I saw the cav coming up behind me and got turned around in time for it. I don't know if they had wasted their charge at some other point, or if they decided that they were just going to walk into me. But I did finally capture Delta, and I'm sending my main unit back to go get some health. While 3 and 2 just do what they can to hold on, basically. As soon as that cav pulls away, I can now turn my spears back and around and chase after those archers that are still just causing me so much of an issue. And I like the MOBA aspect of this with healing and not being out of the fight entirely if your unit goes down, but I feel like it could be revised upon so that one, archers have ammo so that they have to keep going back and forth to the supply point, you know, to keep their ammo topped off as well as health. I also feel that if a unit dies, it should just stay dead. So it's kind of a mix between what they have now and what Total War Arena used to have. So you capture the points, which I think is excellent. I think that's such a good thing to have. But if your units die, they're just dead. That's it. You know, going back and forth to those supply points is still important for every unit. It's even more important for your archers and javelins. And artillery, maybe? I don't know. You'd have to think about that one, how you'd want to do that. Brainstorm it a little bit more. Maybe, I mean, they could leave the artillery, run to the supply point, get ammo, run back to the artillery, and start firing again. That could be a very valid way of doing it. So, yeah, I suppose that would be a really good way. It would add an extra layer of skill to the game. And rather than it being, life seems almost cheap. Like, you could almost be reckless with your life in here, and it doesn't seem like there's that much of a penalty. I feel like maybe they should increase the respawn timer, so that if you do die, you don't come back all that quickly. Maybe a minute-long spawn timer. Maybe even longer. I'm not entirely sure. You just kind of have to see how the balancing works out with that. But I do think that that would be very good. And it looks like you could get a maximum of 4 chevrons based off of this, which gives you a massive buff. I'm not entirely sure how much it is right now because I don't know Chinese. But I'll look into that in the morning when I play. And it will be in the next video telling you exactly how much 1 chevron is and stuff. I'll just kind of have to keep an eye on it. But as you can see, I've been fighting over this point almost entirely by myself this entire time. I did have the late nights come up around here for a little bit, but obviously being Cav, they kind of have to keep moving around the map, whereas myself, I can kind of hold down an area a little bit more consistently. Here I catch that Cav in a nice little cross. If that was a player, I don't think that ever would have worked in a million years. But as a matter of fact, if that was a player, they would probably already be going around the cliff and behind those archers at this point. So after having held off, I finally see Guts come running in, along with some other cavalry, and I can see the rest of the team has finally pushed up and is nearing their base. You know, and I let them know, you know, it's finally good to see somebody else down on this end. You know, I'd been fighting for so long, it felt like I'd been abandoned almost, you know, but it was good to play with Late Nights and with Guts, and I look forward to more games with them in the future. In this game, the only ones on our team to max out all 3 of their units was Guts and I. Guts just barely edged me out for first, I believe. We had very similar scores. Which I don't know exactly how they determine scores. Again, it's in Chinese for me during this particular gameplay. But I'll have a better idea of how things are rated, how they score things in the future. Tomorrow, actually. I did send Group 3 back to heal. I don't think they play a significant part at all in the rest of this battle, because I do believe that we win by cap, because we just hold them at their base. We aren't ever able to take their base as far as I'm aware, but we do hold them for the remainder of the time to get the points, and that's the game. So guys, sorry about that. It's been good. I can't wait to put out more videos, to show you guys more videos of gameplay. Here you guys can see the end screen, how Guts and I did comparatively and all that at the end of this. But, because I don't show up on like the top 3, you know, but I am number 2 on the scoreboard. Anyways guys, I'll talk to y'all later. This has been Sin Saints. Peace.